do have 6 o'clock. I call the finance committee meeting, together, March 18th meeting here, together. Commissioner Dennis had let me know that he would not make it tonight. I don't know where Commissioner Cochran may be running behind or something. Before we, go any further, if you will, you've got your, minutes from, the last meeting, February 20th meeting. If you will, look through those minutes and see if you see anything that is of an issue. I think this came to everybody Thursday of last week in email as well. Take a motion to approve. I hear a second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, let me know by stating aye. Aye. Minutes are approved. Mr. Ford, I'll see if I can see. That either way, I see. That sign is. We'll see if we can work on that in a second. Is it coming over there? Maybe. Oh, it will go down. We're too long. All right, looking at your next piece, financial statements. I will state before we go any further on this, though, that there is you were sent an email on, Friday of last week, Friday morning, mid morning, with, 2 additional budget amendment changes for this that we're going through. So that email did come out sometime Friday morning. Looking at the, trustees' cash balance. You're looking at your trial balance at this time with, this, of course, it runs a month behind, so we're looking at up through February. Any discussion on trial balance? Currently, as we've discussed there, we've got a couple of those drawing some pretty good interest on some, money out. So it's good to see those sitting in CDs, sitting in a good place for us right now. If you'll look next, there's your comparison from, February of 23 to February of 24 on, your property tax, your revenues and your expenses in each of the counts. Looks very strong that property taxes came in very much as they were last year, running very similar. All accounts expenses look pretty strong considering we're about, 2/3 of the way through. If you think about the February there on the budget. So all are running under except the 151, but remember the 151, that's our debt service. And that expense looks high due to the payoff that was made when we consolidated those loans into one. So it's gonna look that way the rest of the year, is what I'm saying on that part. Moving into 101, general fund, we're looking at revenues. Any line items in revenues anyone wants to discuss? Mention again, we should be somewhere around 2/3 of the way through. Property tax deadline is complete, so we should know pretty much where that's gonna fall for the year. The zoning studies are gonna look a little different because zoning has now got a different price. We had $100 fee prior to that, if you remember. As we mentioned earlier on the front, their investments are coming in very strong. Those are pretty much your CD interest rates that are coming in. If you're looking at 44, 110.
And just what's in 101,
Yes, sir.
include the school day.
Say again.
That does not include the school. This is just 101.
Correct.
Yeah. Well,
Any revenues of concern in the 101? Which is coming in just a little under 66% there at 65.6%, but pretty close to on track in revenues for the 101. If not, moving to expenditures. As we've discussed on the 101, the 58,400, which is running a little high. You'll notice that's got insurance premiums, which went up again, as we noticed. We had to put additional funding into that line item, if you remember here, in the January finance committee meetings. If no discussions there, moving on to 111. Looking at revenues in 111. Any concerns there? If not, moving into expenditures. You will notice 111's revenues are running a little behind, 48.2%, but expenditures are running at 35.6, which is strong as well.
question about that there.
Yes.
Why is your revenues running so far behind it?
I think as you will look, part of that is looking off due to the multimodal grant, which is 679,900 right there at 46,490. And you'll notice none of that money is here in that line item, but it's on the budget side of it, so it makes it really offset there.
That's what's killing me.
Yes, sir. It makes that number look way off, but it's not. At some point that grant will come through and it will turn that number well around. I'm like you, Mr. Ford. I'd be concerned if that's what was the action.
That makes sense.
Yes, sir.
That's enough to really whack it high.
In a $1.8 million, that's, roughly a third of that is that one grant in that revenue budget. So. Any other discussion in 111? If not, 116. Again, here in the 116, you'll see a couple pieces of ARPA, which that 432,000 that hasn't been spent yet, that's going to also offset that 53.3% total. Will make it look a little weird. Any discussions on 116? It looks pretty strong. There is a line item discussion there for tonight, in our budget amendments that will looking towards solid waste as well, though. That's the one you received, Friday sometime. I can go back and look at the exact time if we need to. Moving to 118. You do also have your breakdown. Your next page, page 13 of 33 is your breakdown of EMS. That line item 169 is part of one of the budget amendments for tonight, which is moving 30,000 from the medical personnel 131, that 55, 130, 131 into that 169 part-time. It's at PRN type work we're talking of. That we ask EMS to start trying to utilize when they could for overtime savings. You might notice overtime is still running right at the number. Should be at 66%. We're running at 65.74. Any other discussion there? If not, you do have an ambulance roster, employee roster on the back of that next page, which sort of gives us who's where, a couple of positions that are open and a couple of hires or new hires hopeful. Then a list of the those that are doing PRN work for us. Any discussions there? If not, 121 is pass-through money. 122 is also pass-through money. You're looking at 127 American Rescue Funding there. That was the just a list of what is out to be spent under some of those funds that we've ARPA out of funds. Any discussions there? Nope. Again, the other side of that, that's those two accounts that had to be the 127, 128 are those two accounts that the comptroller asked to be created for ARPA funds, so we can look at where those are set. Debt service. Again, as we stated earlier, debt service is going to continue to look weird the rest of the year due to the fact of that consolidation of those loans. So it looked like we've had a heavy expense and we've had a revenues come in very strong due to that changeover of money. However, we do have a very consistent knowledge of where our debts are at going forward. And if you'll remember the couple CDs that we are currently drawing, the interest that's drawing on those couple CDs is going into this account. So it will be sitting there to try to offset some of those costs while the money is not yet spent. 171. You're seeing a few new numbers come into place. It's another one we've just seen come to play. Yes, sir.
If Stanley backed out of that, shouldn't he reimburse us the 10,000?
We purchased an option. we've not discussed that, to make a demand back for it or even a portion thereof. That's something maybe if you want to discuss that, we could, but at this time, you know, I'd go back and look at that option to make sure that we're well within our right to do that. If you recall, we were on the verge of an
We
extension.
backed out, I can see it, but if he backs out, I can't see it.
Well, the issue though is those about the extension of that, you know, we got the extension, or we got the original option of the first 6 months. We're close there too, so. I'll look at it and see, and I'll report to
I
the
think he'll
commission.
pay us back.
Okay.
He walked out of it on his own, and he should reimburse us $10,000.
Why don't you just allow me the opportunity to look within, see where we're within our rights to do that. And then I can report to the commission next week. How's that?
Sounds like a word to me.
Sound fair to the all committee? Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, Mr. Bell.
I don't know the circumstances there, but from what we were told at our last meeting, they backed out. We didn't. So he needs to reimburse us for that.
We'll get some knowledge on that next Monday night. But you do see some costs there that are sitting in that 171 capital projects funds. Any discussion there further? If not, your 131 highway, as we've stated before, the commission only gives that budget 108,000 there roughly is what comes out of county's budget to the highway. It always reminds us to be careful of that. Lost my train of thought on the term there at this point, but maintenance of efforts, that's the word I was trying to come with. Give me a second, I'll come to play. But maintenance of efforts is a reminder there. That was a amount given at one point in time, and we were stated that we had to continue to do it. It's not a problem I have with that. I'm just saying it reminds us to be careful when maintenance of effort comes to play.
Well, yeah, I know what you're talking about. We give them that much and they expected it to move on.
Well, maintenance of effort says we got to give it from then on, so.
Well, the way that the commissioners put it to us, is if we didn't give it to them, the state would just take that much from them.
So it was it's an understanding. Learning how maintenance of efforts works is always a piece to keep our mind on. That's the reason I brought that up. 141 general purpose schools. That's the county side of the schools. Funding there. You'll see the TISA formula funding part as well shown in this piece. Any discussion here? We do have the tonight coming up in our discussion items, the budget for the it's time to hand the schools what we think the county's portion of will be this year, what their revenues from the county will be this year. So we've got to get that to them where they can get that process of getting us a budget. So that will be coming up in a few minutes. I'm sorry.
I said, there should be more coming from the county of all this building we've had.
There's nothing that goes into the school from the building, sir.
I think they will get more from the county this year. That's on the sales tax and the percentage that they normally get. If that holds true, then they'll get more money. How much? I don't know. Depends on how much extra we've picked up this year.
Only on sales tax.
Well, I think they get a percentage of the other two. Or do they get a flat fee?
From
Do they get a flat fee of our taxes? Or do they get a percentage of our taxes?
are you talking about property taxes?
Yeah,
If
if they get a percentage, they'll get more.
I believe that's a budgeted amount.
Taking more taxes, whatever, yeah.
That's a budgeted amount. So it's just straight what the county, what the commission sets as a budgeted amount.
Okay,
Yes, sir. There used to be, a few funds that went that way, but they were removed somewhere in around 16, 17.
that's back when CK was judge, I think, because him and Jim made a swap there and see, and Jim took sales tax. And I don't remember what CK got in return for, but that's when that happened. It's been several years ago, but I remember.
You referenced building the, some of the fees that were for building, originally went to the schools, but were removed. I'd have to go back and look somewhere in the 2016, 2017 range, is when they were removed and went into the county's general 101. So as we move forward, they do get a portion of the sales tax, and fortunately, the sales tax has been very strong since the, online tax piece started coming to the county. So that's helped out a lot. Very, very well said there. If any discussion on, financial statements here as we're looking at? If not, I would take a recommendation to approve financial statements as, are given.
I'll make a motion.
Got a motion in a second. As written, any discussion past that? If not, all those in favor, let me know by stating aye. Aye. Appreciate it. Those look good. I appreciate the look through them. Next up, we've got a few budget amendments. As I stated, we will have an additional, we'll make sure we get that one in the right spot, so. Um,
You got two that's not on here.
we do, and that's what I was gonna make sure of. I apologize. Give me just a second. I thought I had them pulled up, but I must have closed them off. Miss Amy emailed one of them to us on, Friday morning at 8:20.
30,000.
The 30,000 is the, change, and that is budget amendment 03. So that's 11803. And that's on there, instead of that being 13,000. See, fund balance 118, instead of that being 13,000 on your budget here, that should read 30,000. That was actually what this, committee recommended in the February meeting, minutes, to move that amount from, the line item of pay medical personnel in EMS into the PRN. That's just a transfer of money. That's not an additional amount to that, service. The 118 service. The other, to be added is 111. So we can do it at the, end, but it's 11105F, and it is for the residential trash truck in the amount of 400,000. We will discuss that when we get to that. We'll do that one at the last, budget. That'd be okay. We don't have to put it in order, do we? Okay, we'll put that in the last one. Your first one, that we have is a grant. Actually, the first, first three there are grants coming to us. 101, 14G, 15G, and 16FG. There's another grant at the end of that, 19G, but, we've got a couple in between that are not. These could be taken all as, let me look at that, if that law enforcement. And the judge. Will we take the law enforcement and the judge together? That's law enforcement and judge salary adjustment together. All those are either the same. These will be.
That's just a salary judgment. That's mandated by the AOC, is all that is. You can take them together or separately.
We could do all these 101s together if wished, or we could pull them apart if y'all want to. So make a motion, we take them together and approve all that are there. I have a motion and second to take all these that are there and approve. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, let me know by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? It does pass with a favorable recommendation. Our next one, we have law enforcement training 101 again, 04. It is your, it's 101, 11104.
Got one of the add-ons.
No, sir, it's what I'm just looking for too. I don't see it in my packet up. It's law enforcement training. It's the second law enforcement training one. It's out of the 111 side of it. I may need it because I don't, oh, I'm sorry. It is on page 30 of 33. I will miss the backside of that. I apologize. Page 30 of 33 is where that's at. It's the same one we approved in the other, except this is coming out of the 111, the urban service side of it. We approved the law enforcement training, in the, 101 just a second ago.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Second, got a favorable recommendation. All those, any discussion? If not, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye. Motion does, any opposed? Motion does carry with a favorable recommendation. Next one is 11803. It's that PRN we discussed. Remember, this is not 13,000. This is 30,000. Moving from that line item, I can go pull it for us if we need it. But if not, if you need it, as I said, it's moving from medical personnel to, the part-time staff, PRN work.
This, more pushing salary.
No, sir. So this is where we ask the EMS to use PRN work instead of overtime. So they're bringing in a couple of individuals for PRN, which doesn't, PRN, one great thing for us. They're not costing in terms of a couple of areas. They don't cost the county there as an employee. So PRN is not costing us overtime on that piece. It's a worker coming in when we have a shift that's not filled. And instead of using an overtime staff person there, they're bringing in an outside individual to, that's qualified for that position to cover that shift is what it is. You see it happening in a lot of medical fields for sure today. PRN work happen that way. We asked EMS to do that to try to help negate the cost of, overtime in last year's budget. So it's gone, they've used it well. There's some more money needed is what this is. So we're moving out of the medical staff, which are unhired positions. There's two paramedics, if you saw, and a EMT that's unhired. One's pending. So those have not been hired all year. The money was put in there for their positions at the beginning of the year. We're moving some of that money out of those two positions out of that line item, which would be pay into the PRN is all this is. We put original amount, I think we put 50,000. I'd have to go back and look, but that rings the number right to me. 50,000 originally into that, and now we're needing more. It's not 13, it is 30. Everybody clear there? Go ahead.
Looks like it's up there overtime a whole lot on the budget line item on that.
Overtime has stayed within its bounds. It's right on the 66%, but it stayed at its bounds. At this time last year, we were way up. Yes, sir. We were having to add money. Motion to approve, and a second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, let me know by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed with a no? No. It is favorable. 13101, which is our state aid projects. This is the some 131 funds, but still just pushing it through. It's some state aid money coming in for a couple road projects, as you'll see. Bass Road, New Halltown Road, some work, some money coming in there, state aid, and going into that capital outlay for those.
What's the rest on it?
Not grant in terms of grant. That's a different. So a state mandated road where we're maintaining a part of their road and they're taking care of it for us.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Have a motion to approve. Second. Any discussion? Favorable recommendation here has been motion and second. No discussion. All those in favor, let me know by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed would like to know. All right. We will move. The next one that we need to take on is the one that is being added. Again, this is, I'll read that number to you one more time. This is budget, BA 2024-111-05F. It is in the amount of $400,000. F standing for fund balance draw there in this case for a residential trash truck. I'll try to explain this to you. In our meeting for Public Works 2 weeks ago, somewhere in that range, Mr. Salee mentioned that the door-to-door trash pickup truck that he has is, he's doing all he can to keep it on the roads right now. It is the one that services every one of our, has the arm on the side that picks up all of our door-to-door trash. In stating that, he has a backup, but it requires 3 people to run the backup. It has to have a driver and 2 on the back to pull trash cans around. That's not very cost effective as we see, and it's not a great truck at that point. He believes he's got 11 and a half years of service out of this truck that somewhere is, when we looked at this piece, we asked him to bring us what it would be to lease a truck. The lease options, he presented to Public Works. In 5 years' time, we would have paid for this truck in leases and the truck would be going back. He's gotten 11 and a half years out of the truck we've gotten now, and he hopes to get somewhere similar to that. So it wasn't, we were just trying to look at cost. What was the best cost? Lease was not the best agreement to go into. Mr. Sleeve thinks he can get this truck pretty quick, and he thinks he can save the other truck as a backup as needed, if needed, by putting in some work before it goes down, before an engine goes down on him. He's got some engine issues with it, that he's having some water issues mixing in. It's got some gaskets that need to be replaced, some seals that need to be replaced. He thinks he can save it, but right now he can't take it off the road enough to make that. It is an 11 and a half year old truck. So it's coming out of fund balance in 111. It is it was discussed in that one as right now, that's the way the budget amendment is drawn. Fund balance is good enough. We went and talked urban service. I think Mr. Gregory can talk on this, discuss that piece. It is a urban service truck. It services the urban service area in door-to-door pickup, which is not a part of the county. That's where I won't mind saying by all, I made that statement that I thought it should come from urban service for that truck. We believe it is definitely needed and needs to be taken care of. I even told Mr. Slee, he said he would stick around. I think he was going on vacation this week. And I said, you've well stated what the cause and need is here. So I don't think he needed to stick around to make that statement. I will state this, there was some discussion before. It is in the amount of 400,000. It was 397 and some change. Mr. Gregory and I had both, were trying to remember. We thought there was a number of 327, but I think the number of Mr. Shalib misstated it one night in Public Works, because what he presented to us in paper did say 397,850 for that truck. So on the paperwork that he gave us that night, it read that cost of that truck was that. I can read or give you the cost of rentals if anybody wants them, but we definitely had determined in Public Works that I said rentals, but leases were not a good move for us. We would pay more for the truck in 5 years of lease than the truck would cost us now. And in those leases, service did not come with it. So we'd still be paying for the services.
It's coming out of fund balance, not our.
It's coming out of fund balance. That's correct.
But we bought several things out of ARPA. That is a hefty fund balance coming out of our 111. I've got I was reading, I asked the other two that's on urban services, be here and listen to this budget finance and see what they're, but I talked to Amy and she said we should be good, still okay if we buy this out of our, fund balance. But y'all have any questions about this?
It's pretty straightforward.
That's the reason I wanted them to come later with the 3 on urban services. And that is a pretty hefty draw from urban services. And that's the reason I asked him to come if they had any questions or, talk about it.
I appreciate you being here tonight with that piece, because it is a hefty draw. As we stated, this truck does service the urban service area with door-to-door pickup, and
It is needed. Cliff, I mean, he's got the use out of the other truck 11 years as preferred. I mean, and he takes care of his stuff. And I mean, I think it is, it's needed.
It's a hefty cost, but it is, hopefully gets us a lengthy amount of time back with it. And he thinks he can keep his other as a usable vehicle. The way he explained the other is he can't take it off the road long enough to get it fixed. And it's really, 11 and a half years is a pretty good amount of time. It's not that it's not needed for the new one. We've had,
to be able to keep that one and get it fixed and keep it as a backup.
that's correct.
Well, he's still using it.
Right.
He's
But
currently,
once we get the new one, it will be the backup.
yes, instead of having to use right now his backup takes 3 individuals to run.
And you can't pick up them big trash cans now like you used to, because they're a whole lot bigger. It's hard for a man on the back of a truck to pick them big ones up now, because they're a whole lot bigger than they used to be.
It's just a cost of where we are. We've invested in the urban service area, invested in those trash cans and that look, and that's where we've moved towards. It's a cost that goes along with it. I mean, honestly, I think the original one cost, and I think that's where we got off. The original one, that one that we've got, cost $327,000. In that range is what he told us. That's where we got that number from. So it's not really gone up a whole lot in that amount of time, 11 and a half years. And he's gotten a lot of work out of it. He does a really good job keeping our equipment rolling.
Back on that other one, I mean, he should be getting in pretty good shape on equipment and stuff.
So I think it's as well explained as I can. I don't mind talking about it more. I appreciate him bringing it to us and where it was. We wanted to fast pace it because he's a little worried about if the other truck's engine goes down while he's trying to keep it running right now. He said it's somewhere to 60 to 80,000, I believe was the number he gave us. That'd be a pretty costly move when he thinks he can do it in-house at a very much cheaper rate just to get some seals and gaskets replaced. But he can't take it off the road right now long enough to get it done. So hopefully that'll take care of us. Any discussion further? If not, Urban Service has looked at it, as Mr. Gregory said, Urban Service individuals that are here, we appreciate you being here. The support that it is a fund balance draw out of Urban Service, we understand, and I appreciate your support for it. And if so, do I have a motion I have a motion to approve and a second by Mr. Gregory to approve that piece. Any other discussion on the motion for the trash truck here that we're talking about, door-to-door trash pickup? If not, all those in favor, let me know by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? It does move as a favorable recommendation from this committee to the commission. Moving us down, the next one, as was stated there in this case, you have your 141 schools local revenue as a discussion item. And that is on the back, your last sheet here, page 33 of 33. And what we're doing at this point is just stating here's what the proposed numbers are from the county so that the school board can go into their budgeting and try to get a budget ready for the commission to look at. Is everybody clear with what this is? At this point, this budget is nothing more than keeping with the status quo of where we were last year. Is everybody clear? But we do have to set we do need to set that for them and send it forward. Okay, I would take a motion to approve this. I have a motion by Ms. Atwood to approve and a second by Mr. Gregory. Any discussion further? If not, all those in favor, let me know by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? It is approved that we send this forward. I appreciate your time there. Are there any other pieces to be brought before the committee? If not, any public comment? Thanks to all commissioners here, and I appreciate you being here, but you're welcome to. If you have anything that needs to be spoken. If not, we're at that time. We have a motion to adjourn. And I have a second, non-debatable. All those in favor, let me know by stating aye. You are adjourned. Thank you.